everyone, my name is Ivy Ding Hyung-yi and my group members have Michelle Ding and Ivy Wong. Today we want to talk about the government intervention in the economy of Malaysia. About the government intervention, we know that there have price control and non-price control. So today we will discuss about the price control. In the price control, there have two types of price. First is maximum price, and the second is minimum price. So, in the price control, we will discuss by minimum price. The minimum price, known as price floor, below which the market price cannot fall. To be effective, the minimum price has to be set above the equivalent price. So, the best example of the minimum price is minimum wage in the labor market. Malaysia minimum monthly wages. In Malaysia, minimum wage refers to lowest gross wage per month. Let's view graph. This is a comparison start from year 2014 until 2021. It's clearly mentioned that our Malaysia government has increased our minimum wage. In year 2014, our minimum wage as low as 900 per month, but in year 2021, the new minimum wage is now 1,200 per month. Not only that, in addition to the minimum wage increase, the government has also increased the maternity leave from 16 days to 19 days. And workers earning less than 4,000 ringgit per month are now eligible for overtime pay. Efficiency implication of a minimum wage. About the efficiency implication, a minimum wage interferes with the process in the unskilled labor market. It's because its voluntary transaction by definition generates a surplus. Anything that reduces the number of transactions causes a loss of surplus. Let's view the figure that wage loss from minimum wage. Shows the effect of the minimum wage by using the idea of buyer surplus and seller surplus. In part A of figure, we can see that the market without the minimum wage. So that means that the buyer surplus is the profit that fund obtained by hiring this worker. When the market without the minimum wage, the buyer surplus is below to the labor demand curve and above to the equivalent wage. The seller surplus is the benefit that accrue to workers from a selling labor time. So it's the same meaning. When the market without the minimum wage, the seller surplus is below to the equivalent wage and above to the labor supply curve. In part B of figure, it's clearly mentioned that there have the effect of minimum wage. So if the transaction occur decrease, then the total supply in the market is also decreased. So by using the figure part A and part B, we will clearly see that the most obvious cause of the minimum wage is this loss of surplus. That's all from me. Next, continue to present is Michelle Ding.
The second affair is the employment of the minimum wage. When the government sets a minimum wage, the company's wage must not be less than the amount set by the government. For example, on the figure, we can see when the minimum wage increased from 4 ringgit to 5 ringgit per hour. The quantity of unskilled labor also rises from 45,000 to 15,000 hours. And we can also see that the number of unemployed has increased. This shows that the government's implementation of the minimum wage has a great impact on the market. It will change who the company hires workers. The company only needs 32,000 hours of labor, so the labor market is not balanced. We see that workers want to sell 15,000 hours of labor to the market at the set minimum wage. About 215 people work 14 hours a week and their wage increased from 4 ringgit to 5 ringgit, but the company only wants to buy 32,000 hours of labor. Because the company wants to track the least cost for the highest efficiency. In a market with voluntary trade, no one can force the company to hire workers. Therefore, the labor force in the market will be determined by how much the company wants to buy. When the government implements the minimum wage standard, two things will happen. The first is the reduction in the number of laborers employed by companies in the market. This leads to higher wages for existing employers and fewer employment opportunities, which leads to an increase in the unemployment rate. Suppose there are 1,215 people who want to work at a salary of 5 ringgit, but there are only 800 job opportunities, so 415 people are unemployed. They want to work at the prevailing wage, but they cannot find a job. The implementation of the minimum wage may also affect the employment situation. Suppose everyone has to work 14 hours a week, but because there are too many people employed, we must reduce the number of workers, which will lead to an increase in the number of unemployed people. There is also a possibility that everyone will get a job, but everyone's working hours will be reduced. This situation is underemployment. Some people even feel that the minimum wage is too low for him, which will also lead to an increase in unemployment. In real life, unemployment and underemployment may exist at the same time.
Another effect is inflation. The minimum wage is nominally fixed and will not automatically change when inflation occurs. Therefore, if the minimum wage is set at 5 ringgit and the price level rises from 1 to 1.1, the actual minimum wage will fall. For example, the effect of lowering the actual minimum wage is shown in the figure. A reduction in the real minimum wage. Due to lower actual wages, the company is willing to hire more workers. Employment time increased from 32,000 hours to 35,600 hours. More than 19 jobs can be found. In the figure, a reduction in the real minimum wage. The actual minimum wage is 4.55 ringgit, which is still higher than the equilibrium wage of 4 ringgit. In other words, the equilibrium nominal wage has increased to 4.4 ringgit, but this is still lower than the nominal minimum wage of 5 ringgit. However, if the price level is increased by 35% or more from the past year, the minimum wage will become completely irrelevant. The minimum wage will be lower than the market wage. Economists said that in this case, the minimum wage will no longer be binding. As the price level increases, the actual value of the minimum wage will decrease, and its impact on employment will also decrease. Therefore, Congress needs to take action to raise the minimum wage to keep it in line with inflation. Congress has allowed the Asian minimum wage to drop significantly from its highest point. The reduction in the real minimum wage also leads to a reduction in unemployment. As shown in figure, the impact of real minimum wage reduction to unemployment.
The advantage of minimum wage in employment is employment incentive. The minimum wage will provide the unemployed with an incentive to obtain job opportunities. Because they will know what the minimum wage will be and to determine the benefit of doing this work. Second is common reference when recruiting. The minimum wage can also simplify the recruitment process because they can know their salary in advance. An employer does not have to negotiate salaries with new employers. Inflation can make Malaysia's economy grow. Inflation caused by the minimum wage helps stimulate consumer demand and consumption, thereby promoting the country's economic growth. The second is prevent deflation. Increasing the minimum wage can also avoid price drop, reduce the country's actual debt burden, and stabilize expenditure and investment. In terms of implication, the minimum wage can increase pupils' motivation to work hard because wages are directly proportional to efficiency. In addition, investment can be increased. Labor costs are high, so companies have more investment incentives and increased labor productivity.
The disadvantage of minimum wage unemployment. Minimum wage will link to unemployment in this competitive market. The supply and demand of labor will be imbalanced if minimum wage is above the market equilibrium because the supply will exceed the demand. Since the company is unwilling to provide additional labor, it will cause unemployment when the minimum wage is reached. By introduction of minimum wage law, companies will respond by reducing the number of employed people and raising goods prices, which will lead to unemployment. Inflation. The minimum wage may cause inflation of prices because it increases the money supply available to workers. The company will try to increase goods prices because the minimum wage increases the supply of disposable money. Since workers have more money to spend, companies turn to use this situation to offset wage increases by raising goods prices. This makes workers lose their wages due to inflation. Because market prices have risen, they need more money to buy the same amount of goods. Increased cost of investment. For companies that must pay more wages to workers, the minimum wage will increase investment costs, which will increase production costs as well as investment costs. With the increase in investment costs, the company spend more money to reduce the company revenue. Due to the increase in investment costs, the company will subsequently increase the prices of goods and services, leading to loss of customers. In conclusion, the minimum wage is both good and bad for the country. The minimum wage stimulates a country's economic growth by increasing consumption. Although it can improve the quality of life of low-income workers, it still depends on the situation of the labor market. A moderate increase in the minimum wage will not affect employment. High growth may lead to unemployment in the country. Therefore, a gradual increase in the minimum wage level can stabilize the economy while slowing down unemployment and taxation growth. This can avoid high unemployment rate and excessive inflation. Therefore, by balancing the minimum wage level, it may help stimulate economic growth and life well-being. Our presentation is over. Thank you for listening.